either. One of the things that every organisation has to grapple with, no matter its size, is what personal data do I use? And that can affect some downstream conversations. When you're setting out, particularly in health tech, that's an even more important question. So, first thing, what is personal data? Personal data is data that relates to a living identifiable individual who's identifiable either directly by that information or indirectly by combining it with other characteristics or other pieces of information. There's also something called special category data. For those of us that have been around for a bit, that used to be called sensitive personal data. That includes things like health, but also sexual life, sexual orientation, trade unions, membership, religion, philosophy, ethnicity, essentially all the things by which we could use to discriminate against people. And so you might be thinking, well, okay, that's really easy. Well, there's a more difficult question. Is this personal data? And by this I mean you pointing to an idea that you've got in your head about what you might do. It might be an application that's recording period tracking or something as simple as a mood diary. Yes, that's fairly straightforward. That's personal data that relates to someone if they're logging in, if they're doing things like that. But then you might think, well, what about these cookies that we are using or any tracking technologies? And that's where it starts to get more complex. And here's where we reach that crossroads where businesses have to decide, you have to decide, is it quicker and easier for me to learn this all myself? Or is it in fact quicker to get someone in to do it for me? And I think there is a real danger that actually a lot of people may be getting this wrong if they're not getting some specialists in to help them. And that's not because they're not smart enough and intelligent enough to do it by themselves. It's because you pay for the experience and the knowledge. I'll give you an example I dealt with many years ago. Someone wanted to use a booking app, restaurant booking app, for an area in a hospital so that patients could book in. And they said, well, that's just personal data. It is personal data. Absolutely. They're putting in a name, they're putting in their email address to book a seat. First thing, they're booking it in a hospital. So there's an inference there that that person is either going in for treatment or going in for something medical, and that has some inferences about their health. But not necessarily. There could be a relative going into wait. You know, there's not enough information in that alone. But inferences count. In this case, it was booking a chair for chemotherapy. Really good for the patient experience. You know, they know where they're going at a time when there's a lot of uncertainty. But because it's booking it in a chemotherapy area, the inference is really clear. That person is having chemotherapy. That is special category data. And if you're not aware of that, if you're not aware of how all of that works, then you can really mess yourselves up down the line. So by the time you come to selling into the NHS or providing a product, and you're asked for something and you've missed a really basic thing from a data protection perspective, the DPA will chew you up and spit you out. It's really important that those sort of mistakes aren't ones that trip you up. They're really simple, easy ones to make, but they're also really easy ones to avoid. If you are starting out, this is the little plug bit. If you are starting out, give us a shout, give someone a shout. If it's not me, talk to someone else. Again, we want to see people succeed. Have a great day.